Let's take a look at two of your homework problems from last night. I had some people chime in and ask a question that you would say, well, how do I know if they have one solution, infinitely many solutions, or no solution? Well, one solution is what we've been doing all along. So if you graph a line and you got a green line that goes this way, and you got a black line that goes this way, where they cross is your one solution. So that's one solution. If we had infinitely many solutions, that's when it's the same line. That goes back to we need to be able to pull previous learning and know what the words infinitely many solutions or no solutions mean. Because then if we also remember, a no solution is when they're parallel lines and they have the same slope. So I had said be careful on 12 and 13. Well, really on 12, you end up getting one solution. So I have 3's down here, so if I multiply this by 3, change it back to a color it stands out. Multiply this by 3, then I get 3x, bigger, minus 3y equals 24. So now when I add these together, I'm going to get 6x, the y's cancel, and negative 10 plus 24 equals 14. Okay, now this is where, if you use a calculator, you gotta be careful, because if you get a repeating decimal, a lot of times in algebra, it's probably a fraction. So what happens here is when I divide this, I'm left with x equals 6 goes into 14 2 times, and 2 6's left over, which is really 1/3. So now that gets a little tricky. I come up here, and I go to plug that back into the first equation. X, we already know what x is, 2 1/3 minus y equals 8. So I subtract 2 1/3, and that leaves me with negative y equals 5 2/3. And I divide by negative 1, y equals negative 5 2/3. So there's my answer. My answer is 2 1/3, comma, negative 5 2/3. And now I'll check it in the other equation. So is where you gotta be careful with your math. 3 times 2 1/3 plus 3 times negative 5, that negative sign in there, negative 5 2/3. That has to equal negative 10. Well, 3 times 2 is 6, and 1/3 of 3 is 1, so I have 7 right here. And then 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, and 2/3 of 3 is 2, so I have negative 17. 7 plus negative 17 does equal negative 10. It checks. So a little complicated because it's a fraction, but we can still do it. Number 13. It's one of these ones where you might be able to look at it and say, wait a minute, if I multiply this, everything down here by 2, I would get the exact same equation. So if you get the exact same equation, you're going to have infinite solutions. But let's say we missed that. So we're going to multiply everything by negative 2. So now we have the bottom equation is negative 6x minus 4y equals negative 12. So that's this equation rewritten. And then my other equation up top, 6x plus 4y equals 12. So when I add these all together, well, I just get 0, 0, 0. When does 0 equal 0? Always. And that's why you have infinite solutions. If you would have ended up with something like 5 equals 3, or any two numbers that don't equal each other, that's when you would have a no solution. But we didn't have that on this one. Today's assignment is application problems. You gotta be careful. This got cut off. It's supposed to be 4 pizzas and 10 sandwiches. Costs $140. All right, so I'm going to set a couple of these up for you, and then I'll be honest, you might need another sheet of paper to do these, but I guess that's up to you. So it says a florist is making regular bouquets and mini bouquets. The florist has 118 roses and 226 peonies to use in the bouquets. How many of each type of bouquet can you have? So if we're doing systems, you're going to want to be coming up with 2 equations. It says each regular bouquet has 5 roses and 11 peonies. So actually this first one's the trickiest one out of all of them, because you need to come up with 2 equations, and we're dealing with roses and peonies. And what we have here, we have a regular bouquet that will let equal x, and the mini bouquet will let equal y. So if we are talking about roses, from the regular bouquet, we have 5 roses. And from the mini bouquet, we have 3. And that equals 118. And then when we're talking about the peonies, in the regular bouquet, you have 11 of them. And in the mini one, you have 5. All right, and then that lets us, now because this is a little bit trickier of a problem, we would have to multiply this one. We could say we could multiply this one by 5. And then you have to multiply this one, if you want them opposite, you would have to multiply by -3. So you'd have 5 and -3, and that would give me that 15y here and my -15y here. Okay, I just paused that to do all the calculator work there. So when we multiply this out, 5 across the top row, we multiply everything by 5. You have 25x plus 15y equals 590. We multiply the bottom row by -3. You have -33x minus 15y equals -678. So that gives me, the y's are going to cancel. That's going to give me -8x. And over here, I have 590 and 678. And that's going to equal a -88. So I divide by -8. And that gives me x equals 11. So since I'm kind of running out of room here, I'm not going to check my work on this one. Normally you'd want to. But if I have 5 times 11, that's my x, plus 3y equals 118. So I would have to subtract 55 So I have 55 plus 3y equals 118. I subtract 55. So 118 minus 55, and that is 63. So 3y equals 63, divide by 3, and I get y equals 21. So it says how many of each bouquet can be made. What does x mean in this case? We can make 11 regular bouquets, and y can make 21. And that would use the exact amount of flowers you have. All right, so I'm going to set up the next one for you because this is how a lot of these go. And these ones are a little easier. It says 2 pizzas and 4 sandwiches cost $62, and then 4 pizzas and 10 sandwiches cost $140. How much does these pizza and sandwich cost? So now we'll just do pizza and sandwiches. So you would just have, if you have 2 pizzas and you add it to 3 sandwiches, that equals 62. And then if you had 4 pizzas and you add that to 10 sandwiches, that would equal 140. Maybe you want to do something besides S. If you're going to mix that up and think it's a 5, you can make the variables whatever you want. You could just leave them X and Y. And then you would solve. And the same thing down here on these next two. These problems here, and there's an A and a B. So the concession stand one goes here. This next one goes here. You really do not have enough room. So you're probably going to have to use a separate sheet of paper and upload. Or because if you've already printed this packet, so find something that works for you. But all of these 19, 20, 21 are the same. This one here, again, I'll set it up for you. 3 shirts and 8 hats cost 65, so it would be 3 shirts and 8 hats equals 65, and then 2 shirts and 2 hats equals 30. So hopefully that helps you. And you just have to finish this page up. So really it's 4 problems because you got an A and a B down here. And that is it for your Friday. Have a good day.